Hey everybody, it's Antoine and Daniel from Humble Husband.
Encouraging men through all seasons of life.
What's going on, men, husbands, fathers, everybody? How are you doing? Welcome to Season 2, y'all. Season 2, Episode 1 of the Humble Husband Podcast. I hope you had a great summer. If you're in San Antonio, you have survived the heat. Congratulations. I am giving you a round of applause right now. You can't see it, but I'm giving it to you anyway. Welcome to the fall. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in for the first episode of this season. What do we have for the first episode, Daniel?
So tonight, Season 2,
Episode
1.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about dating your spouse, what that means, what it looks like, why you should do it, and all that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
So I think when it comes to dating your wife, when we get married, somehow we say I do. And we say I do, and it's all good, but we never get to the point of I will when it comes to dating. Because what happens, guys, we get into our careers, we get into hanging out with our bros, we get into whatever, and dating our wife seems like something that was the precursor before, scoring, if you will. Like you got her, right? You're married now, so it's all good. But why do we stop pursuing her heart? And we're going to talk about why that happens, but also why we need to continue to pursue the hearts of our wives as well.
So I'm going to start with why we should. So I'm going to pull this from Ephesians. Ephesians 5:25 states, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." So this scripture is used for a lot, but what I'm pulling here is when we think about Christ's love for us as church, it's eternal, and he is constantly pursuing us, so why wouldn't we do that for our wives, right? So he never stops calling out to us, even for a second, but we find that we do that to our wives, and we're just like, oh, hey, we're married, and then our voices get softer and softer. We're no longer calling at her, we're no longer pursuing her. But we have to embrace this mindset for our wives so that they know we are constantly calling for them, not for anyone else. So I was thinking about courtship when we were getting ready for this, and courtship shouldn't end with your wedding. If anything, dating engagement was like the pregame to the big main event. Because Christ never stops pursuing our heart. He doesn't stop pursuing when we get baptized. He doesn't stop pursuing us when we make that conscious, acceptance of him as our Savior. So when we compare Christ's love to our relationship with our wives, which we are called to exemplify, it's kind of a no-brainer for me that we should never stop that pursuing. We should never stop that drive to say, hey, you're mine and I'm yours. Let's do life together. But oftentimes we get to the wedding and it's like, done. And I won, game over. But that's when, let's compare this to football, right? So the wedding is you get the ball, you fumble, someone else is going to pick it up if you're not paying attention. So dating is a really awesome way to make sure that never happens. You never drop the ball. You never drop the ball in your relationship. You never drop your wife.
Yeah, and I think, using football is such a good analogy because...
Butterfingers.
First of all, my Texans are going to win this year. I don't care what anybody says. Texans are going to the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
I'm gonna let you. Don't boo me. Don't boo my team. They're going. All right. Listen, they're going. But yeah, like a lot of times we drop the ball when it comes to dating our wives, and we don't even realize it. And that's the part that I'm gonna get into right now. Why don't we continue to date our wives? And as Daniel has already touched on, we do all the work beforehand. We pursue our wives, we pursue their hearts, we pursue their minds, and let's just be real, we want to pursue their bodies, but at the same time, if we care about who they are, we want to wait till that perfect moment, on our wedding day. But at the same time, when we've got to that point, we're like, okay, we're good now, like I've done all the work. But how many of you know that as you grow, your wife grows? That as you guys have kids, that's going to change the both of you. That as you guys put on careers, that's going to change the both of you. So in that, if you're not dating each other, then you're missing the people that you're becoming. And I'm going to say that one more time. If you're not continuing to pursue each other, date each other, learn about who you guys are, then you're going to miss each other. And you're going to wake up one day and realize that you're married to somebody you don't even know anymore. And that's the reality of being in a relationship without dating. So let's talk about a couple reasons why that dating doesn't happen. So one, let's be honest, time. There's so much. I say there's so much time. There's a lot of time, but usually we fill up that time with busy things. Work, school, being a good parent, whatever. And it's always as if, like, dating my wife is always the last kind of thing that gets scheduled. And what I've learned, even just within the past couple years, is that I actually schedule date nights with my wife. Like, it's literally something that's in our schedule, because if we don't, we'll always be like, oh, well, we'll do it next month, or we'll do it next whatever. And I just be, honest with you guys. Every time we've missed a day, I felt it in our marriage. Like, I felt the tension of us not getting uninterrupted time away from the kids, away from other people, to just pursue each other and have a conversation about, hey, what who are you now? Like, what are your life goals? And it sounds so funny, and it sounds like, why would you ask those kinds of questions? But because we change and because we grow, those are questions that we need to continue to ask, because if not, then we're going to continue to fumble the ball, and like Daniel said, somebody's going to pick it up. And that is something that we can prevent if we just continue to pursue our wives through dating.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because I think just a lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that we are all constantly growing and changing, and we do the same thing. And when we are not actively dating our spouse will get that moment, and she'll wake up to, who is this that I'm married to? Because we're not even giving her the opportunity to see who we're growing into. And I think that that's just a really kind of tough situation, especially for people who are starting their career or getting really involved in their career. You'll start to see that your friends know you better than your spouse, because you're at work at least 40 hours a week, and your wife isn't getting that just you time, which is really, really important to have.
Yeah, and with this whole conversation of dating, the question always comes up when these types of conversations happen, and that question is this: how many times in a month or in a week should we go on a date? And let me just tell you that from my personal experience, and just from watching and learning from others, quality time with your wife is bigger and better than the quantity. So to break that down even more, if you're going on a date once a month, but you guys are really pouring into each other, that could be, the pace that you guys need to walk right now in your schedules. Like, that may need to be what you want to do, versus trying to squeeze 3 or 4 date nights a month, but they're not as fruitful. And you have to be honest with where you are. If both of you are very career driven, and you have jobs and all that stuff, the average married couple in America in 2018, both husband and wife are working. So that's a very real thing. So don't feel bad about that. But at the same time, you can make the most out of your dates. So let's talk about that even. So for me, I am a very extroverted person. My wife's a very introverted person. So our dates usually revolve around benefiting. We usually try to do things that benefit each other, but I usually love to do things that bring out, just a smile in my wife. And what is that? What makes her smile on a date night? Let me tell you. Going to the grocery store without the kids. Be like, what? Yes, going to the grocery store without the kids and walking around is something that truly blesses my wife, and I love to give her those opportunities. And that may happen once a month, but we are honest about where we are. We are involved in our church. I'm in school full time. She works for our church, actually. So in that, we are honest about where we are right now. To be honest, we eventually want to bump it up to twice a month just because we feel like we want to connect even more. But at the same time, right now, once a month is what we can do, and it's awesome. And for me, I'm an extrovert. I love going downtown San Antonio or being in, around a bunch of people who are in an atmosphere where they're just having fun. And my wife, I see her stand beside me, hold my arm, but then I'll see her smile because she's enjoying me having a good time and we're having a good time together. So those are the little things that when you're dating, you get to learn those things about your spouse, because my wife 5 years ago would never have gone downtown with me. But now that we're dating each other and learning more about each other, I can take her and we can enjoy the atmosphere of San Antonio. So I definitely think with that as well, we kind of talked about love languages in the last season, but knowing your love language and knowing your wife's love language will also help when you guys are trying to decide what to do in a date night.
Yeah, languages are really important. I have found that as we expand our family, Lindsay's a little bit more acts of service. So part of my date day planning is I'll get up an hour early and do all the dishes and sweep, and that just starts the day off or the whole weekend off in just a better kind of atmosphere, because she's really appreciative that, hey, I don't have to do this now. So I'm going to go to Proverbs. So Proverbs 18:22, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So this really stuck out to me because find a good thing was like you found this little treasure in the bottom of the ocean. And then what do we do with our good things? We take care of them, we protect our stuff that we like, we treasure our things, we nurture them. And what better way is there to do that for our wives than taking them out on dates that we're both enjoying? Because when we date our wives intentionally, we do all of those things for her, for us, and our relationship. We're protecting both of our hearts because we're really pouring into our relationship. We're pursuing our wife. We don't have time to think about anyone else. We don't give her a reason to think about anyone else. We get more inclined to treasure the time that we do have together, because it's those one-on-one moments that, even if it's just walking down the aisle of a grocery store, it's without distraction, where we can talk and have those little chit-chat moments. And then by really nurturing our wives through dating, we're continue to build a really strong foundation for our relationship. So Proverbs 18:22, I really enjoyed just bringing that mindset into how I want to actively pursue my wife through dating, because now I just have this whole, it's a good thing, I want to take care of it, I want it to grow, I want to pour into that good thing and get a better thing, and I think that dating has definitely changed a little bit for us from, being dating engaged to married and then to married with children. I think that all of those have transitioned just into different dates. We're different people. We both like different things now. So what's your favorite kind of date night? What do you really like to do?
Honestly, I'm a foodie. So for those of you who don't know what a foodie is a person that doesn't just go to a restaurant to eat food. You enjoy the experience of eating food. You enjoy the atmosphere of the restaurant, maybe the music that's playing, maybe the location that it's at, and of course the food that you have in front of you. So that's what foodies are. And when it comes to dating my wife, I love to take her to places where we can enjoy the atmosphere of where we are. So I enjoy doing things like that. Again, like I said, going downtown. What I'm trying to do, just because it's just who I am, I'm trying to find a good like comedy spot or like a jazz spot that we could go to just to sit and chill. We don't have to necessarily say anything, but just to enjoy the company of each other. That's my date night, yo.
That's awesome.
What about you, man?
My favorite?
Your favorite.
My favorite?
Your favorite.
Don't judge me.
I'm not gonna judge you.
I like to go to Target. We will just go with nothing really in mind, but we'll go and we'll get an icy and just walk around Target and just talk for 2 hours. And that has become just my favorite thing to do. I don't know why. It's not super exciting. It's not some big extravagant event. But, you know, we get to talk about things. It sparks conversation. Like, oh, when we buy a house next year, what kind of decorations do we want? What do we want in the boys' room, you know? And I'm a people watcher. Mm-hmm. I really just like to just watch people do whatever. And so that's kind of my favorite, is just going to Target and doing, like, really having nothing in mind, but making a couple hours of just that one-on-one time with me and Lindsay is probably my favorite. A very close second is food, though. Anytime there's food involved, I'm down.
Listen, I feel you on that.
We went to Tower of the Americas. That was pretty cool. Just being up there, it was quiet, it was nice, it was just really fun.
That's so cool.
Cuisine experience.
And I think about, like, when we are, like, we're in the you're dating, like, you've scheduled it, you got called a babysitter, you know, all that good stuff, and you're there, just you and your girl, and how, like, it almost takes you back to before, when things were, I'll use the air quotes, a lot simpler. And I say simpler, not necessarily easier, but just simpler, because now, again, the average American has so much responsibilities when you're married. So, you know, in that, it's hard to just take a second and breathe and just be like, I just want to enjoy your company. So I think things like going to Target or just going to a place and just sitting and chilling and, you know, eating some great food.
We'll just hang out and play video games all night.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I was serious to be like, okay, I'm going to stop on my way home from work. I'm going to get snacks so that we can just stay up late and play video games. And it's something we both enjoy. We trash talk people online.
There you go.
It's great. It's great bonding.
Probably trash talking some 8-year-old, but you know what? Whatever.
He deserves it.
But yeah, and thinking about all this too, like, we as husbands, when we're dating our wives, we really get a chance to match the heartbeat of Christ when we do this. Like, there's a song called Reckless Love where it talks about how God chases us down, leaves the 99 to chase us down. And I think about how when we're pursuing our wives, we're dating our wives, and we're cultivating the person of who she is, we get the opportunity to do that, like to pursue her to a point of where nothing else matters but you and her. And you know that she knows that you know that you're gonna do that at the end of the day. Like, you're her protector, you're her husband, you are there for her no matter what. And a date night or date day is a perfect opportunity to showcase the love that you have and to emulate who Christ is and who Christ means to you. And I said date day just now because I know for a lot of people, date night is literally something that can't happen. But date days definitely can. I remember I was working this job when we first moved to San Antonio, and sometimes, you know, Jasmine would come, my wife, even with our kids, and just come have lunch with me. And that blessed me because I could be having a terrible day, and just seeing them would just like recalibrate my thinking, my perspective of the day, and my why of what I'm doing at work. And my why is, hey, I'm there, I'm doing a job, but at the same time, I'm doing this so I can take care of my family and taking care of the patients that I'm seeing, because I was in the medical field. So don't miss those opportunities for date days, whether it's a quick lunch date or y'all go to Starbucks real quick, whatever it is, any moment that you can connect with each other throughout the day is worth it. And it's worth it for your marriage.
Yeah, I think something really important to always keep in mind, we've kind of talked about it scripturally and kind of inferring, is matching Christ's tempo whenever we're dating our wife. And how do we do that? What does that look like? For me, it's being really intentional about planning and execution of the date. You know, go get a haircut, go shave, pick out a nice shirt, you know, wear nicer shoes, whatever that looks like, because that just says something completely different from, hey babe, I got my t-shirt on, let's go have dinner, to you dress really nice, and she's seeing that, she's like, oh, I'm gonna dress really nice too. And you know, it just becomes just something more special when you're intentional about everything from start to finish. Something that I bet a lot of guys encounter is Lindsay doesn't like to choose what to eat. So when I want to take her out on a date that involves food, I have the place in mind, what we're gonna order, you know, just based off of where we've been. Like, her favorite is ramen, and it's always an easy date night to take her for a bowl of ramen. I know what she's gonna get, what I'm gonna get, we're both gonna have fun, but being really intentional about everything just helps you match that tempo, because Christ is always intentional for us and to us. So just elevating to that level, I think, is always something really hard, but it means a lot when your wife sees you putting in that much effort. It gives her more comfort that this date is for her. It's, you know, it's for both of you, and it's not just a chore that you're trying to, you know, scratch off of your to-do list for the month.
Yeah, and I think it's perfect. You know, you were saying that, like that last little bit there about how it, you know, do more than just the bare minimum, because it's not something that's an afterthought. And to make it something that's very intentional, like if you have kids, something that I had to learn was it's so much better if you are the one, we as husbands are the ones that handle the things with the kids, because it's one less thing that your wife has to take care of. And I know what you're thinking, like, why do I always got to do it? Well, there's probably, and I'll say probably very loosely, a lot of times where she would do that for you, and you may just be missing that. So for one day, one night, to just handle all the particulars, you know, especially if you have a wife like mine who's pretty analytical and she really cares about details, me taking care of details for her really blesses her. You know, who has the kids? Did the kids have all their stuff? What time are we going to take them? What time are we going to pick them up? All that stuff matters. And if I take care of that for her, that really blesses her. And it may, all those little details may seem like they're not important, but as we're taking care of those details, we're showing our wives that we love them. And that is one thing that we are doing to help bring God into our relationship, because we're always focused on growing the person of who our wives are. And to reiterate kind of what we already talked about, is date nights are those little touch points in a month, excuse me, in a week, whatever it is, for you guys to reconnect with each other. You know, a date night is not the time to talk about maybe, you know, major life decisions, but it is a time for you to talk about your lives together. Like, what do your lives look like? And that is something that you may not get that at home sitting on the couch, but you may get that in a fancy dinner, or if you're out at Target hanging out, holding hands.
Target's where it's at. I'm
Listen,
telling you.
I feel you. We gonna have to go. We gonna have to go. So I guess to kind of wrap up here, what advice would you give to husbands who feel like, one, they don't have time for a date night, and two, they don't even know what they would do for a date night?
So I'm going to be really honest with your first answer. If you're questioning whether you have time for your wife or not, there's an issue. Just on the table. I mean, it is hard and it's a struggle, but if you can't fit 2 hours into a month or a week for your wife, then there's a lot to evaluate, honestly. It was for me, really. I used to try to use that excuse all the time, and then, you know, as I kind of grow a little bit more as a husband for Lindsay, it's like, there's no question that I can spend 60 minutes with you a week and it's just us. There's really no reason for it. If you have kids, wait until they go to sleep. Plan something small, you know. cook her favorite dinner, sit there and just talk. That would be an awesome date night for a lot of couples, especially now because we are so busy. That's an awesome starting idea. Or if she has a favorite restaurant, order her favorite plate, pick it up on the way to work, bring it home, let the kids go to sleep if you have kids, and then just eat dinner just at the table. And that's something that me and Lindsay have done multiple times, and it's some of my favorite because I'm not worried about all the details, and we really do just get to sit there and talk and catch up. And I don't know, it's kind of like we're back in high school, and we're trying to figure each other out again, and it just really is reminiscent of some of my favorite dates with Lindsay, and those are just really simple, like stopping at Sonic and going to the beach and just eating, just hanging out together. Some of my favorite dates that we've ever had.
Yeah. And then the second one, what about, how would you even get started? Like if you're not used to taking your wife out on a date, and not that you don't necessarily not believe in date nights, but you're just having trouble getting started on what to do. What is some, you kind of already touched on it, but what are some other small things that you can do to kind of get started on pursuing your wife in a date fashion?
Start with Target. But no, we all have small little passions in life that we can turn into a date night. Like me and Lindsay both like playing video games. That can be a date night, just hang out. If she is really into like shopping or whatever, I've done this too, and we'll go to the mall and I'm like, hey, we're just gonna go shopping. This is for you. What kind of stores do you want to go to? For those couples out there who really enjoy board games, pull out your favorite board game, have some snacks ready, have sodas ready or whatever it is. Cooking together, just cook your favorite meal together and then enjoy it together, just the two of you. Lots of really easy, just little ways to reconnect and then build on those. If you're into food, find a new restaurant later on.
Yeah. You said board games. And I got one disagreement though. Do not, and I repeat, do not pull out Monopoly if you're trying to have some special time with your boo. That is not the game to play. No, but but yeah, I think board games are cool. Even for me and Jasmine, we're very competitive, but it's still fun to play a board game because we're still hanging out, and sometimes we don't need to have deep conversations. We don't need to talk about what are our goals in 5-10 years. I mean, those conversations are definitely important and they need to happen, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you just need to hang out, because when you're mommy and when you're daddy and when you're boss at work and when you're whatever all the time 24/7, sometimes you just need to be yourself and she needs to be herself, and y'all just need to hang out. And I think that is so important for growth in just being a husband and wife first. And we don't like to say that because it sounds really anti-culture, but we have to prioritize our relationship. We have to prioritize our marriage. And one of the ways to do that well is by going on a date. And like Daniel said, I'll kind of piggyback on it. Like, we have to prioritize dating our wives. Like, we have to, because if we do not prioritize that aspect of our marriage, then we're really just going to keep fumbling the ball. And pretty soon fumbling the ball is just going to feel very second nature. We're just going to start throwing the ball down, and then we'll never pick it back up.
Yeah.
But we've got to do better. We've got to do better, men. And I know your wives will appreciate it, just like our wives do. They appreciate when we go on dates, we hang out, and all that good stuff. So, any final words?
Yeah, so last kind of idea for a date night for something that I heard recently that I'm going to try out on a podcast that I listen to is they use one of their date nights as like a prayer night. And
that's cool.
Pulled out their Bible and, read through their favorite scriptures, why, and kind of use like a Bible study date night kind of thing.
That's so cool.
And I think that's super cool. Something that me and Lindsay have recently started is we'll pick 2 verses a week and just kind of talk about them, like why they apply to us. But I thought that was just a really cool idea to just sit back, and what better way to try to emulate Christ than reading about Christ through,
Yeah.
It's really cool. So that's something that I want to try and just see how it goes.
That's really dope.
I mean, there's gonna be food involved, like
listen, there's got to be food,
like Jesus and nachos kind of thing.
Got to, and coffee. I know you don't like coffee, but I like coffee.
Jesus and Coke and nachos
and coffee.
I'll leave the coffee for you.
Yeah, I'm good. I like coffee. Listen, Starbucks dates are real.
Take your Bible. Boom.
Exactly.
Easy. Done.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, like that's a perfect date night. And with this talk about date nights, we definitely want to hear your ideas as well for date nights. If you have a cool idea for a date night, something you've done, something you want to try, that something that we may not have talked about, but it works for you and your wife, hit us up.
Favorite restaurants.
Yes,
we all love food.
Listen,
favorite
especially if you in San Antonio. I want to know where your favorite restaurants are. Yes, I want to know. But definitely hit us up, because I know that as you guys hit us up, we'll be able to feed this information out to other men, and we can all grow in this thing together. So date your wife, make it a priority, and have fun with it. So I'm going to pray this out, because I really feel like this is a definite good moment to pray. So let's get it. So Lord, we thank you for that, even the aspect of being able to date after you're married. Being able to set up those moments to still grow in you and grow as husband and wife. Give us moments, Lord. Help us to create moments with our wives, Lord. Help us to prioritize those date nights, and help us to see hours in our schedule that we may not have seen before. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yo, first episode, second season.
Boom.
I'm excited. Listen, like I said, I'm so happy that you guys are with us once again. We definitely enjoyed the first season, and we have so much in store for the second season. Like, I don't even think y'all ready. I don't think they're ready at all. They're not ready.
This is gonna be an awesome season.
It really is. I will say this though, we will have a surprise guest in one of our episodes, and it's gonna be dope. So definitely stay with us as we continue these episodes.
And for new people, how can they reach out to us?
Listen, new people, if you're coming to us for the first time, you've never heard of Humble Husband, but somebody said, hey, check out this podcast, you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We even have an email, humblehusbandofficial@gmail.com. Definitely send questions, comments, concerns. If you just want to tell us, like, hey, you guys are terrible, we still want that feedback, because we're still trying to grow, but also tell us if we've done something great as well. So that's all we have for you guys today. We will see you next time. This is Antoine and Daniel from Humble Husband. Peace.